And
in the 21st century, it's so different. We tend to be very busy, so you don't have enough time with our kids. At the same time, with the school closures, the children have all the time for themselves. They are also idle. So, and also some parents are a bit, they are not free. They feel about the issues, and like to tell the children in black and white. And it's quite unfortunate that also the parents, we tend to think that our children are innocent. Like the recent case of where there's a 17-year-old boy who impregnated the sisters. So you tend to think that your children are so innocent, so they can't do it. So as a parent, that's also your responsibility. You ensure that the children are behaving in the right manner. You also have some time with them, and also you make sure that you tell them everything in black and white, and tell them the consequences, and also watch what they are doing, and be free with them. I think that's the major thing.
Okay, thank you. Yes, yeah. Unmute.
Apart from what Marona has said, there's also the issue that already sexual and reproductive health services have not been accessible to the adolescents, available to the adolescents so far. But apart from the fact that
Lydia, we are.
Hello, sorry about that. It's already public information that adolescent health services have not been available for use for the adolescents so far. And with COVID being a problem right now, the services are not, most of the services are not.
You've unmuted again.
Hello.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So I was trying to say that already the services, with COVID being a problem right now, some of these services have not been given a priority. The government is seeking to identify some of the services that are a priority to the society right now, so that as not to strain the public, the hospitals. So now that the hospitals have the services are not readily available to the youths, then some of these reproductive health services, because of the strain that has been happening to the, I mean.
Okay. Thank you. Maria del Camer, welcome. You can say something. Maria?
Hi everyone. I'm using someone's phone. Actually, I'm Fanny. I'm using someone's phone, and so just what I wanted to add, and I can share, and I understand we are all worried about the fact that our kids are getting pregnant at an early age and so forth. So we all should be concerned, everyone, and that's why the sexual reproductive health bill is there. But what my problem with the bill is, first of all, have we asked why are the kids getting pregnant? Is it just the knowledge? If we give them all the knowledge and whatever, and we give them all the services, that we tell them what it is about, so that when they engage in it, they know what they're doing. But are we ready to to work with the consequences, because I mean, fine, I know what I'm getting into, and yeah, at 10 years old says that 10 years old, but because I think some of them, it's a situation must want to have sex with someone at the situation they are in, and let them know that, you know, it's very important, but also the reason of why kids will to do that at that age.
Yeah.
My thoughts.
So, Maria, I just want to engage you briefly before you go, or any participant on this. There are some two questions that Maria, you said, Fanny, sorry, have been raised. So one, have we asked why? Why the bill? Why is the bill necessary? Then, are we ready to work with the consequences after these children have been made aware of this? Then are we ready to work with the consequences? And one of the consequences that I saw, or while I was reading there, is on the issue of, it's called on a softer way, exterminating pregnancy. But as you all know, abortion. So just to tie on that with the pregnancies and abortion, Marona, you are a quality assurance pharmacist. So I want to ask you, what do we mean by this safe abortion and unsafe abortion? And just to relate with this, in schools, you'll always find girls able to get a tab that cost them less than 1,000 that they just swallow and then the baby is gone. So maybe you just highlight to us something around how these medicines easily reach these girls, and if there's anything as pharmacists, as a quality assurer, you do about it. Okay. Okay, you can go ahead.
You're right. Is that you want to know what you mean by safe abortion and unsafe abortion. So safe abortion has to be the consent or the reason as to why you want to abort the baby has to be given by the doctor, of which the doctor has to find out maybe there's a problem with you or the baby, or the presence of the baby inside you is giving you a life-threatening thing. And unsafe is where you just feel to get rid of the baby, which we don't really advocate for that. Then onto how the drugs get to the kids. Number one, I think I'd still go back to the parents. That's number one. There are some parents where they are afraid of talking to the child, telling them what's meant of them. So as soon as he or she realizes that the child is already active, they prefer giving the child the contraceptives, or if worse goes to the worst of getting pregnant, they assist the baby or the child, let me say the lady, or the child to get rid of the baby, which is equally very dangerous. You should not tolerate that. Then secondly, I'd go back to the common mwananchi or the community. You know, we are human beings of different nature, and some of us are just looking for opportunities. And of course, we are the ones who keep those drugs, the pharmacists. So corruption. So you'd rather interfere in the life of another child at the expense of you making a profit. So maybe on that we can maybe the government can just regulate on the use of certain drugs, like the ones which are used by the kids, so that they are not sold over the counter. It has to be prescribed, of which in that sense the doctor has to come in and find out why do you really need to abort that baby. So I think that's my take on that.
Okay, still on you, Marona. I want to share what part of the bill and what it says, because you've mentioned it still comes back to parents. If you just look at that bit of underline abortion in red, so the bill says, in the case of a pregnant minor, in this case we'll talk of the school girl, then the health practitioner or the medic has consulted with the minor's guardian, in this case I think parent, and determined that it is in the best of interest of the minor. So do you think that these parents get time to consult with the doctors or with the minor, and it's the best of interest? I want us to underline the best of interest there. what is the best of interest when a minor gets pregnant and then the parent consent to the abortion? And then after Marona talks on that, maybe I'll ask Lydia to comment on the same. And in this case, I want to see what are some of the health issues that might arise from the same.
Okay, just to, I hope I got you right. Just to comment on that is that, as I've said, most of the parents are, I would say that we are afraid of having our grandparents at a young age. So as I'm not talking out of what I've seen like around me in the community, you don't even give the child, you don't even give the child time to explain to you what happened. You also don't want to listen. You're just, you're in a hurry to protect your what, I've forgotten the word. You're in a hurry to protect yourself from shame.
Image.
Yeah, that's the word. You're in a hurry to protect your image. You don't want the small shames. So for me, I won't, in that part of abortion, I won't really support it in that manner. It's not the right thing. Okay, how do you discuss with the minor that terminate a pregnancy or not? And how do you, the doctor should come in if the minor maybe develop issues, as I had said, or if the baby is posing some issues to the parent, that is in that case to the minor. But just in your normal senses, you start discussing, you want to terminate the pregnancy, it's also not, it's not good. That's my view.
Okay. Lydia, if you can hear me, what are the health issues
I can
that
hear
come
you.
from this? Yeah.
Of course, first of all, I'd like to reiterate what Marona has said. There's no concrete reason that someone might give us, maybe that may make you really validate the concept of accepting to or talking your child into abortion. At this point, my opinion is, now that the baby is here, there's nothing we can do about it. We have to accept that it has happened, and we have to think on our way forward. So apart from that, now that we are talking about the health consequences of abortion, one of the health consequences is one, psychological. I don't expect that someone in their right mind would go ahead with abortion and live happily ever after. I think there's just an element in you that will always poke your conscience. There's something you did that wasn't right. So first of all, it's the psychological effect. Second of all, the second thing about it, now that abortion has not been legalized, so it means that if it goes ahead to happen, it might happen in unconventional situations, right? So that means there's a possibility that it might not be done the right way. So some health consequences may arise in future that may maybe translate to infertility in future, or other problems of the reproductive system. Apart from that, abortion, another consequence of abortion could be maybe the society, the fact that the judgment, unless it was done in secret, there's a way, maybe some people just have their ways of knowing things, and this may follow a child into their future, which might maybe even bring in some problems, psychological, maybe suicide and such things. I don't know if there's a point I'm leaving out, if someone may add on it.
Okay, thank you. I can see three answers raised. Maybe we'll start with Mr. Buriri. Hello, if you can hear me.
Hello?
Hello, I can see Mr. Buriri's hand raised. So we could start with you, then I'll move to Kiara Violet. Hello? Okay. If Mr. Buriri is not getting me, then I can hear from, let me hear from Violet Kiara. Then after Violet Kiara, we can have Madam Buriri.
Okay. So I think for me, I would take like a slightly different approach when it comes to abortion. Most of us are uncomfortable with it, but looking at it biologically, we read some of the research about pregnancy. It says that most of the pregnancies that we consider high risk is anything below 15 years and anyone above 35 years. So that way, anyone that is below 15 years and anyone that is above 35 years, we consider that a high risk pregnancy. And so I think, in my objective opinion, I would say if I have a 12-year-old who is pregnant, I would want to know how safe is it for them to have that child. It's not necessarily a matter of the child is there, so we're going to have it. I don't want a situation where now a child has to deal with, I don't know, pregnancy complications, because most of the time their cervix is not fully developed, which means it's a strain on their body. So I think that is a consultation I want to have with a medic about how feasible, how feasible is it or safe is it for this child to have that baby. And I think if we're going to look at abortion services, the right way, we have what we call pre and post-abortion care, which entails psychological counseling. So it's not just something that a parent imposes on the child to have it. Yes, some parents do it because they're trying to protect their reputation and their name, but sometimes it's really in the interest of the child and what it means in terms of denying them education for a while. So I don't think it's one of those things that we can agree as, I don't know, a whole society and take a stand of we are pro-choice or pro-life. There will always be people on the two extremes with a sound argument. And I get this thing of assuming that parents make that decision for their child. It's also because if you're unable to have that conversation with your child about sex and what, it feels like a personal failure to you as a parent if your child gets pregnant. But if you're able to have that conversation with them before they fall pregnant, it shouldn't be so hard if a mistake happened, because as a sexually active adult, I know what contraception means. Sometimes it works, sometimes it fails. So if you educated your child and they decided to be sexually active at an early age, then in the back of their mind, they know the consequences and they're sort of prepared, whether it be they're getting a disease or they're getting pregnant. So It's really, let me just finish. It really just means that sometimes you have to, I don't know, be closer to your child and try to connect with them emotionally and on personal things, so that even if it ever gets to a point where they're pregnant and you have to make a decision about it, it's not a strange conversation to have. And you can have a conversation objectively, where if they need counseling, whether to be able to go through the pregnancy or to terminate it, maybe they can handle it better. Yeah.
Okay, I think you've raised a very important thing, and there are things that, Violet, you keep on raising that are questions that we should ask ourselves in the society. So I think the issue of abortion, as you say, we have two extreme views, and maybe it will be a very interesting topic to discuss. But for now, let me allow... I'm seeing both Buriri your answer up. I don't know who is Mr. and so let me have one of you give a comment.
No, Mr. has full name. Mrs. has just one name on the chat on the team.
It's appearing as Buriri and Buriri Wi-Fi. So maybe I allow you to speak first, Mr., because we've not had you comment. So Karibu, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim, for the discussion.
Yeah.
I had a lot to say. I have a lot to say. Maybe on teenage pregnancy, we like our county, for example, is very high, and a number of issues are in place. They all go back to parents The parents have left their children. Actually, when I go to work from Oyugis to Homa Bay, along the road all the way, you see small girls. I don't know where the boy child is, but girls are all over walking and they're not going nowhere. And I think it still rests with us as parents. Why do we allow them? Are we too busy looking, finding money other than the safety of our children? And then the issue of abortion, I think it's, I think I've got these two extreme ends, those who are against it and those who are for it. But the question is, the bill, and even as even counties are struggling to develop sexual-based and gender-based violence policies. Even ours is at an advanced stage. But the question is, when a minor is expectant, you know, what would be the reasonable to do, to let them carry to the pregnancy to term or to exterminate it? And when they exterminate it, then what is the guiding principle? That's why the bill was coming in. Because what would be the worst thing, the best thing to do for a minor of 10 expecting? If we exterminate it, it has other side effects. What one of the participants has said, pre and post abortion, you know, preparedness and so on. So sometimes something they are devilish, but sometimes we make them the devil that we must live with. Because I'm of the opinion we need to strike a balance between allowing abortion for the minors and simply brushing it aside is not a good thing, because one, people are doing it, whether we are for it or not, people are still doing it. Yeah. And when they do it, are their policies guiding its, you know, how it is done, what should follow after it, and so on. And that's why the policy was becoming a very important gateway. And we have the freedom now to bring in, you know, our views, our understanding, what best can be done to save the minors. I think that is what we really need to focus on. And before the bill becomes the law, please let us have a debate, a discussion that will bring the best in that bill, so that no loopholes are left. But in all, parenting is the issue here, parenting. You know, and our boys and girls are exposed to sexual activities early due to social media and all other things, and we cannot avoid it. So let us agree that there are certain ways that has to be, we cannot stick our heads in mud and say, oh, abortion is just terrible and what. Somehow we can discuss and have a middle ground where it is used for the best interest. Because even if it's consent from the parent, many parents would shy away from letting the public know that their daughters are expectant at 10. It will be a big shame to them. It shows that that is poor parenting and so on. It is shame for the child, shame for the parents, and the policy would really guide us and get out of this shame and do the right thing. That is what I have to say, Florence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for creating time to be with us. As I mentioned earlier, that is the CS Gender, Homa Bay County. So I'll allow Madam Buriri, also I mentioned she's the deputy of a girls' school, a single-sex school. So maybe you give a comment on that. But from what I get from Mr. Buriri is that there is need for the guiding principles or policies surrounding abortion. Which is very important, because even if we become like an ostrich and keep our heads in the sand, it is still happening. Okay, Buriri, go ahead. And then I love Maria. No, you said you're Fanny. And then Fanny, you'll make a comment.
Thank you, Madam. For me, I am not comfortable with this abortion thing. Abortion is abortion. And this one is killing. And according to me, it will, this bill, it will open ways for minors to engage in sex. It is going to promote promiscuity. And my take is that mostly these young girls, they would get pregnant out of poverty. from my school area, it is out of poverty that these girls are engaging in sex. So once they have gotten into, they have gotten themselves into this thing, and the bill allows them to go for abortion, for me as a deputy principal of a school, I am against this abortion thing. Fine, let us give them the information. You know, knowledge is power. But then when it comes to the abortion part, please, we should look for something else. When I say the best interest of who, is it for the parent or for the child? For me as a parent, yes, I don't want to be a grandmother. Look at me right now. Be a grandmother? No, I would easily go for that abortion. But then, what am I encouraging? So for me, abortion, however way you want to look at it, for me, it's a no. If I had,
yeah.
I tell them not to go for it.
Okay, Patience is agreeing with you. Welcome, Patient. And this is what she's saying. I won't encourage abortion. Instead, will advocate for empowering the children. In case it happens a child is pregnant, the medics can advise. It's high time this issue is dealt with by talking to the teens and adults. So it's like we are agreeing on one point, that the child is supposed to be made aware of what is really happening. They should be educated. So the issue of educating them as early as 10 about their reproductive sexual health is very important. And that is, I think, as Lydia mentioned as we started, the bill is actually looking into the reproductive sexual health of this teen. And they acknowledge that as early as 10 years, there are girls who are already sexually active. So they are supposed to be informed on of what is really happening with their body, what they need to know, and where they need to seek medical help. So Fanny, I can see your hand is up. Kindly make a comment, and then I'll come back to you, Annette. Fanny,
Chair, I was just cutting
Hello.
in. Hello.
Okay. Fanny, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Buriri wanted to say something?
I wanted to say something. Where will our minors get this appropriate, friendly sexual and reproductive health information? Is it in our medical facilities? And are the conditions favorable that they can get it? I still feel that we still need to be guided by a policy, because I walk into any of our facilities, health facilities, all over the country. I don't think there are havens, there are safe places that our young people, the minors, whether they get expectant at that age or not, where they can get, even at school level, do they get really appropriate information concerning sexual and reproductive health? Do they?
Actually, that is one question that is handled. And in the bill, there is mention about the government being able to provide this health facility and even the medics who can talk to them. But then the question that has always been there is that even if you go to these clinics at that age as a minor and you're pregnant, you'll be scorned. I'm so certain of that. They look at you in another way. And so that fear could be one reason why these girls are driven to abort. Let me hear from Fanny. Yes, Fanny?
Thank you, Florence. Thank you so much, Florence. I also, it's important that also we ask that question that, who is the best person to teach our kids about sexual education? And really, I think as parents, we have a major role. We cannot leave these things to teachers, to health workers, it's important that they help us, that we learn from them, and then we teach our kids.
Hello there.
What the important thing, because even at the age of 10, I trust my mother and my father more than I trust my mother and my father more than I trust a stranger, a health worker, or someone when I go to the hospital.
So I will probably listen to them more. So I think with this, it's important that you learn these things from our parents. And also even, when it happens, yeah, I've talked to my kids and whatever, but life happens, yeah. Maybe I think the important thing that what be convincing, our children need to be able to trust us, yeah. If our children trust us, they'll be there, yeah, and they know that we take care of them. Even the decision we make or we make together. Because to be honest, I think even as a parent, I would not want to make the decision of abortion for any child, because I don't want my kid to grow up, because also there's the consequences of the psychological issues and whatever. I don't want that child to grow up and remember that I am the one who made her do that. I can't live with that in my conscience. How can I expect the child to grow up with that in her conscience? So I think we need to support our kids. We need to teach our kids, yeah? And also, yeah, the main thing is support.
Thank you. We keep on mentioning parents here and all that. And so just to mention, I said Annette is a trained PR journalism. So I want to ask you something. Of course, I'm seeing you've commented that charity begins at home. Let the parents be on the front line to sensitize their kids on the dangers of engaging in sex. But I want to ask you, is the media, in your view, making this whole issue of teen pregnancy a big issue? Or in your own view, are they sensitizing maybe from government, parents? Because the issue of girls' pregnancies, as I mentioned earlier, started as early as in Kenya, as early as 1980, maybe if I can quote someone, 1989, where Ferguson wrote about schoolgirl pregnancy in Kenya, the continuing saga. And he said that in spite of all this, the information the government have, there's nothing that has been done to lower the girls' pregnancies. So in your capacity as a scholar in that area, do you think, what role is the media playing in that part? Annette?
Well, I would say that the media is doing the exact opposite. We are good at highlighting the cases that are happening in the country currently, like the news we had that over 4,000 children are engaging in sex. They were getting pregnant and all that. But my main issue is the kind of content that the media showcases is what has led to some of these things that we are seeing. We've had cases of parents complaining about the kind of content that is shown through our screens. Like there was a period whereby a local channel, Nicole, it is not actually local. It's one of those channels that we see through via the decoders, like Nicole Odeon. There were some cartoons that they were showcasing that had some adult content in it. So I think the media is contributing to the moral decadence in the society today. Instead of like preaching against what is happening, they're the ones that are allowing that content to stream into our homes. So they're not doing much to address this issue.
Okay, so according to you, what should they report and should not report?
Well, actually, in the media, you are also supposed not to take sides. So they should also be reporting positive cases, not just the negative cases, like we are having a bunch of teenagers getting pregnant. They should also come up with programs that are friendly, that are children friendly, that will also help the children realize the importance of, can we just preach abstinence? Let us preach abstinence first before we get to the abortion bit of this. So we should do it both ways. Yes, highlight the realities of the things that are happening in the society, but what are we doing as the media to sensitize the kids on the importance of abstinence, on the consequences of sex? Yeah, things like that.
Okay, thank you so much, and I'm so grateful that you are able to join There are some comments in the chat, maybe just to highlight them. Mr. Buriri is saying, isn't it the same medical workers who help in abortion? How will they provide useful information on something to the same clients? Food for thought. And then patient says, let it be our responsibility, teachers, parents, health workers, and every stakeholder. This is because there is peer influence among other factors like media, and also some environment are not conducive. And as we've mentioned, and most of the speakers have mentioned, being that COVID-19 is here with us, the students are back at home, I feel it is the responsibility of parents. So just to wrap up, I'll welcome again Lydia. Lydia, if you're still there. Lydia, are you still there? Okay, seems I lost her, but I'll want to maybe ask, because I know Violet.
I'm here.
Okay, it's good I found you. So there are questions that have been raised that pertain to medics or medical workers. So maybe just as a wrap up to end the session, maybe give us your idea around all these issues about the bill and how it can help to curb teens' pregnancies.
So the aim of the bill, basically, for those who have gone through it, was to provide a framework for the protection and enhancement of reproductive health rights for every person. And that includes the adolescents who are our main subject today. So in providing a right framework for these adolescents, then it means that, first of all, we have the facilities that are adolescent friendly. Second, we have the health workers that are equipped to deal with these particular adolescents. We'd like to maybe a proposal that the ones that deal with the adolescents are not necessarily the ones that deal with the people who are in a marriage situation or the adults per se. Also, the bill aims to create an enabling environment to reduce the maternal mortality, maternal morbidity, child mortality. One of the main aim of this bill was to reduce the consequences that have arisen from the fact that we have not created an emphasis on sexual and reproductive health rights in Kenya. And apart from that, also, the bill had the objective of ensuring that there is quality and comprehensive care for every person. So in my opinions so far, this reproductive health bill was very necessary, maybe not time appropriate, but very necessary. Time appropriate to mean that it should have come up a long time ago, because these issues have been there for a very long time. The only difference right now is that people have woken up to the fact that this is no longer something they can hide their head under the sand for anymore. They need to speak up and see what we can do to help our kids, because this is an issue. And apart from the fact that it comes with the social stigma, it also has a consequence on how we deal with our. Sorry.
Okay.
Maybe if you could clarify, apart from what the bill aims to address, what else was your question? I've lost you.
Okay, I was asking, how will that bill help in curbing the rise in teen pregnancy? Because just to say what Esther Passari said about that bill, I'll quote, "The bill will address the needs of girls who fall pregnant at a tender age."
First of all, it provides for where do we seek these services when we have these problems, right? And if we, for example, if the case of abortion, if it were to be legalized, in an effort to maybe save some of these people, like Violet mentioned, in a maternal health class, one of the things that you are taught the subject of women at risk when it comes to pregnancies. And these teenagers are one of the people who are women at risk. So when they came up with the issue of abortion, for instance, then it meant maybe to address a situation where maybe apart from other reasons that were given by in the Susan bill, maybe it also was meant to address the fact that there may be instances where these pregnancies may not be safe for the particular the person who is carrying it. So is there a way that we can help save these women? Apart from that, the bill also was meant, if you have gone through the bill, then you'll realize that one of the things maybe it also addresses are adolescent-friendly health and age-appropriate services that will be provided for these people, and it will be an obligation of the national government and the county government to make sure that these services are available to all these kids without prejudice, without judgment. And it also, there's a way it also describes a penalty for whoever it is that denies these kids the access to these services. Someone mentioned that when I think it's Florence, that in as much as these services are made available, if some of these adolescents were to go and seek them, there's a possibility that they'll be judged and maybe not accorded the services they'd require from those facilities. So there's a provision that it's punishable by law for you to deny these kids this right. So the fact that this bill is a subject of contention could be worrying. It will also mean that we have put ourselves in a cocoon, for lack of a better word. We have programmed ourselves to this religious, I don't know the better word. We've put ourselves in a cocoon. We do not want to discuss these things for reasons, maybe values or the society has placed on us. But this is something that we should be discussing openly, and this bill will be very necessary in dealing with some of these things and helping us in as much as accessibility and maybe the provision of these services will be very crucial in helping these kids. And the bill does not only talk about the accessibility to the service. So, some other things that it talks about is maybe the provision of health education. The health education that will help them in making informed decision when it comes to maybe consent, when it comes to maybe the way they make decisions about their own bodies. It's not just about accessing these services, but it's also addressing other important issues that we should be talking about. Maybe maybe for example, life skill. What else?
Okay, why?
Maybe curriculum revision, so that what is already there, we could incorporate also sexual and reproductive health, so that it will be this information will be right at their fingertips. So in case someone is at a position to make a decision to engage in these sexual activities, then they have all the information at hand, and maybe dealing with the consequences will not be as dire or as negative as it has been compared to when they have been empowered.
Okay, thank you. You've actually summarized the whole bill for us. Just to mention some things that have been said, and then Bwana Buriri, I'll ask you to give a comment on the same. You've so much talked about the medics allowing abortion, and then you say, let's target those procuring abortion to help track causes and way forward. And then Maria, you're saying if the recording will be shared, yes, I'll share it. You'll get in touch through Lydia because it's her, I have an email address. And then Marona Esther, you says that the government has a major role to play since some of the parents are unable to provide certain requirements like pads, clothing, etc. So the children end up being lured in exchange. I remember Madame Buriri mentioned that about the transactional sex, that it's poverty that has driven some to that. Then Zaituni says sensitization of both parents and the girls on sexual health should be enhanced. Maybe before we end, and before I thank everyone, because we're having less than 5 minutes according to how I timed the session, maybe I'll allow Bwana Buriri to make a comment on this. And while you're making comment, I'll ask you this, being that you're in the docket of gender, do you think that this bill will go a long way in addressing some gender issues in Homa Bay County? If you are there,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Buriri? Okay.
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah, this bill will address a number of issues. I don't refute it. That, you know, it's only that in the public, the aspect of extermination of pregnancy is a very hot debate, hindering the progress of the. But as a whole, it's going to help. You know, a government. When you say the government should, the government is not a person. The government is a unit, and it is operating on legal frameworks, on policies. You know, the government will not provide, for example, sanitary pads without a guiding principle, a policy or whatever in place. That is given. And that is why I was saying for us to really help curb this teenage pregnancy and what have you, we need to have a policy that will guide us, that when it happens, what should we do, and so on. As we speak now, people are carrying out abortion here and there without regard to any law, without regard to any policy, regulation, and so on. And that's why we should give this thing a serious thought, put the best we can, and let us operationalize it. But as I said earlier, if you look at our facilities, that is the same place where our minors procure the abortion. We again expect the same people who carried out the abortion to give information on sexual and reproductive health to the same clients that they, provided abortion services to. Is that kind of conflict? How can we address such and come up with a way that will help rather than heap blame on either the government or the parents? When it happens, as a parent, what should I do? You should be guided by some policy. As a medic, if this happens, what should I do? Because even as we wind up, people are carrying out abortion without regard to anything. Let us focus, use the people who are procuring abortion and find out why are they doing it. And that will inform us and make proper decision on how best we can handle the case. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And then a last word, I'll want a last word from Madame Buriri, being a teacher and having served for so long. In your opinion, do you think this bill will address the issues of girl pregnancies in your school?
I don't think so. It will not address the issues of teenage pregnancies in my school. For me, I would say, if seriously, then the girls would get this information. But with this bill, it is just like chasing the wind. It will not address the issues at the grassroots. The girls need to be given information. The parents cannot do that. Therefore, maybe in our curriculum, like normally life skills, we don't take it seriously. I would go and teach mathematics instead of teaching the life skills. So this one now goes back to the heads of institutions to make sure the right content is taught to the students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll give a wrap to this because we've gone past 2 minutes. I thank you everyone for joining me. And just to end, there are certain questions that we've raised about this bill. Of course, we've seen there are things that are good about the bill and why it should go forward. But there are issues that are raised. For instance, we've asked ourselves, where will these students get this reproductive health information from? Is it at the clinics where already abortions are being procured? Is it from parents who some of them lack the knowledge on how to start this conversation? At the same time, there's a pertinent question that have been raised by Lydia, that if this age is reduced to 10, yes, it is good because people mature differently and some people, hormones don't wait. But then, does it open way for pedophiles who will see a rise in pregnancy at early age as that? So there are certain questions that need to be addressed, and as the CS Gender Homa Bay says, that there is need to have principles set and there's need to have guidelines on how these reproductive health issues should be addressed. But then again, we need to debate on this bill and see that the good part comes to work and then it function. Once again, I want to thank you all for coming together. And as you can see, this is a topic that we can really discuss on and on, and it will need more time. So maybe if we get more time, we'll organize for such a discussion again. I want to specially give thanks to Lydia. I know I ambushed you. I actually asked you just last week if you can be my guest speaker, and you did so well. Thank you so much. I can see my classmates are there. I'll just give a mention to some. Zaituni, you arrived so early and joined the debate. Thank you so much. Jemima Nganga, thank you for joining. Maureen Award, thank you. I'm also grateful for Mr. and Mrs. Buriri for joining the conversation, and I so appreciate because Mr. Buriri, you represent the gender issues in Homa Bay, and I'm so grateful for you getting time to join. Violet and Fanny, thank you so much. Lydia mentioned you and welcomed you, and you are able to join the discussion. Thank you so much. Esther, I know I told you like some 3 or 4 days about this, and you are able to join. Thank you. Annette, thank you so much for creating time. You even had to stop traveling. She was to travel today, but stopped to have this discussion. Thank you so much. And I hope to have another discussion with you. It's a bye from me. Maybe I can see all of you now. You can switch on your videos. I see all of you. I take the last recording of that, please. Wow. Lydia, now we can see baby. You can allow. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm still, Maureen, I can't see you. Okay, bye-bye everyone, and thank you. I hope we meet again and discuss more on ladies' issues. It's a bye.
Bye.
Okay.